Hello, my name is Jessica and I'm here with Beta Virtual Assistants, and it is Thursday and I am back for crypto tax tips. I was gone on Tuesday, but that's okay. Just been having an adventure. I have new students. I also teach piano lessons, and I have new students this year, and they haven't figured out that the cats need to stay inside, and the cat just escaped. And yeah, she's behind me somewhere. Oh, she's been rescued and we have found her, and that is a good thing. Stinker. But she stood outside and she like growled at me when I was like, wait a minute, you need to go back inside the house. And she like went up to the door and was like all growly and all upset and anxious and everything. And I let her in and then she ran inside. Oh my goodness, she's so funny because she has spent her whole life as an indoor cat. Well, as far as we know, since we've had them, they've been indoor cats, so it's very interesting. Anyways, that is not about crypto taxes. That is about adventures with my cat, and she is here, so I am here not too late, which is good. And today I thought I would talk about the biggest myth that people have about crypto taxes, and the reason that they avoid crypto taxes, especially in the last year or so, is every time it comes up, like on our Facebook ads and on anything that you guys actually comment on, you say the same thing, and it's always like, I lost money in crypto. I don't need to report taxes. The thing is, okay, yes, you lost money. That is definitely true, and I am very sorry for you. I lost money too. It happens. Sometimes you invest in things and it doesn't go as well as you hoped, and maybe part of the reason you don't want to report the taxes is you don't want to own up to that. I know for sure that last year, when I was really starting to have a business and really needing to report my business taxes, like it was the last thing in the world that I wanted to do, because I didn't want to realize how much money I had spent on trying to become a business. I wanted to just pretend that that never happened. And I really didn't want to know that, yeah, my business earned some money, but it didn't earn enough to cover my expenses. You know, I knew that, but I didn't want to like face it. So it was one of those things where I was like, I definitely do not want to do my taxes, and I put it off as long as I could. And yeah, it was very sad. Now I'm a grown up and I'm like, I can take this. I can face my finances. Every 2 weeks I do my finances. So I will never have that problem again. I do know where I am in my business. I do know how I'm doing. And the thing is, like many investors discover, what you track and what you measure is actually what you can improve. If you are not tracking what you are doing, then you can't improve it. So if you don't know that you're losing money, although you have some suspicion that you might be, you don't know why you're losing money. Like, the best part about doing your taxes, believe it or not, is not getting the government off your back and, you know, meeting those responsibilities and things like that. Especially if you are the kind of person who's actually going to like legally comply. I mean, we get those people too who are like, crypto is about not paying taxes. And you're like, okay, I see your point. I feel like I'm kind of a law-abiding citizen, and I definitely don't want to get fined and whatever if the government decides to come after me. But everyone gets to make their own decisions. So the people who are not going to face what they did and they're not going to report it because they don't want to, you know, that's fine. They get to make that choice. I choose to help people who want to do the right thing. They want to report their taxes, but on the other hand, do they want to pay more than they have to? And that is where the losses come in. So if you can face your losses, if you can realize that, oh yes, that investment that I made was kind of a bad choice and I lost money. Or, you know, it wasn't even the investment that you made. I mean, if you bought Bitcoin back in the fall of 2021, like I did, when it was worth $60,000 a Bitcoin, and then the next summer it's worth 15,000, and through no fault of yours, except bad timing, you can't time the market. You can't know when it's going to go up and when it's going to go down. You can't know that it'd be much better to wait until now to buy Bitcoin because now it's going to go up soon. And back then it was going to drag through winter. I mean, you can't know that. So what do you do instead? So there's a silver lining to losing. There's a silver lining if you have closed out those trades. So if you bought Bitcoin for 60,000 and you sold it for 16,000, you have a $44,000 loss. Ouch. Okay. But on the other hand, that loss offsets your other income, or it rolls forward. If you can't offset other income, so with crypto, the losses that you have directly offset your gains in crypto. So if you have gains in crypto and you have losses, they can cancel each other out. Then you don't pay taxes on your gains, which is a good thing. Then if you're planning ahead before the end of the year, you can be like, hey, I have a $44,000 loss, but I also have made $60,000 on this other coin over here. If I sell a portion of that, maybe 44,000 worth of it, to realize that 44,000 gain, then I don't actually owe taxes. I just have to report it. I have to say I sold this for a loss and I sold this for a gain, and it washes out, and I don't have to pay taxes on it. On the other hand, that gain that I reported has now had the taxes paid, so it won't increase anymore. The new position will increase, hopefully, or lose, but you're starting from a higher base. Like, I get very geeky about this. So there's this beautiful silver lining of having losses that you can offset your other crypto gains. If you don't have other crypto gains, which is very possible, and was my situation when I did my taxes this year, oh my goodness, I definitely did not have crypto gains, but I had gains in the stock market. And you can use your losses in your crypto investments to offset your gains in your stock market portfolio. So that is what I did. And I did not have to pay as much in taxes between my business that didn't go very well last year and the crypto investments I had chosen. And then the market overall didn't do as well as it has in previous years. So my tax bill was a big fat refund, which was great. Silver lining, like I said. Now, if you don't have crypto gains to offset, if you don't have regular stock market gains to offset, I don't think there's other capital investments. I mean, if you're doing bond trading or anything investment related, it probably can offset those gains. If you don't have any of that, if you have no investments, you just have your 9-to-5 job and you're paying your wages and taxes and Medicaid and all that stuff. So in that case, you get to count $3,000 of your losses every year until that loss is used up. So if you did lose $44,000 of Bitcoin on your Bitcoin purchase, divided by 3, that would be 114, almost 15. So basically 15 years worth of $3,000 off your taxes, which isn't great and it isn't ideal, but it is something. It does reduce your capital gains by $3,000 every year until you use it up. And in the future, if you want to invest in Bitcoin again and it actually goes up and you want to sell some of it, then you can like offset that, say $20,000 of gains that year and you use 20,000 of your losses, you get to actually have your Bitcoin and realize it at a higher tax level, and it's all good. So I know I get totally nerdy about this and nobody else cares, but it really makes me sad when I see people commenting on our ads and they're like, oh, I had losses, I don't need to report taxes. And it's like, well, okay, fine. If you had losses and you don't want to report your taxes, I mean, the government is not going to come after you because they're going to be like, yeah, we don't want to know about your losses because that means we get less money, right? The government only gets money if you have gains. The government only gets money if you have income that gets taxed. And if you have losses reducing your income, they don't want to know about that. So they're very happy that you are not reporting your taxes and that you don't want to face that you had a loss or whatever is preventing you from realizing that loss and doing your taxes. But on the other hand, why would you give that to the government? Like, I love my government, I do, but I don't want to give them any more money than I have to. And so if I can find a way out of not paying my taxes, doesn't that seem like the responsible thing to do? Like, I went to a workshop, I think I talked about this before. There was a quick workshop that my hero did a couple weeks ago, and she talked about taxes, and she talked about it in a way that the government, especially here in the US, but in other countries too, they have written the tax code in a way that encourages certain behaviors from people. So you always hear about there's 99,000 pages to the tax code and nobody can possibly understand or read it all or whatever. But most of it is describing these different incentives that they're giving people. So like, if you buy solar power, you get a tax break. And if you're poor, you get the breaks that way. But a lot of them are emphasizing business creation because that creates more economy and more everything to help everyone else in your community. They emphasize real estate, investment and development and all that sort of thing. So you can save a lot of money by buying real estate. And that's how Mr. Donald Trump, I don't know what your political views are, but everyone complains that he doesn't pay taxes. Well, he learned how to play the game, right? You have a real estate portfolio and you get all these deductions from that real estate portfolio. That means you don't pay taxes. And whether that's fair or not, it's sort of fair. I don't know. But if you learn how to play the game and if you learn how to report your taxes in the most efficient way so that you get to take advantage of all these things like your losses in crypto or like buying some real estate, some people can actually roll their gains. Like they'll take their Bitcoin. I think you can do this where you take your Bitcoin, you sell your Bitcoin. So it's got this big gain, say you did it in a good year. And you have all these thousands of dollars that you're going to have to pay taxes on, but then you like buy real estate with it or something. I think there's some kind of way to like roll it forward. And of course you'd have to talk to a total tax expert. I am a crypto tax expert. I am not a normal tax expert, but there's some kind of way where you can roll those gains into something that provides benefit for you in terms of your taxes, and you don't have to pay taxes. And I think we're all for that, really. Like, do we really want to be even law-abiding citizens? Always have the option that you can donate towards the public debt or whatever. Like, that is an option. If you really, really, really want to pay your taxes and it turns out you don't owe any taxes, but you still want to pay your taxes, you can make donations to the public debt, and that's great. If that's you. Me, I don't want to pay more than I have to, and I don't want my clients to pay more than they have to. So that is why we help people with crypto taxes. We help them figure out how to record those losses so that the right story is told in the taxes that reflect what actually happens. Crypto tax softwares out there don't always know exactly what happened because they're, computer algorithms. And so they'll pull in data and they'll say, we think this happened, but we're not completely sure, but we're going to just call it that. And they always go with the most conservative option. So, like I talk about frequently, if your cost basis gets lost of your Bitcoin and you have a $44,000 loss, but your cost basis got lost, so the Bitcoin you sold at $16,000 is realized as a $16,000 gain, that's a problem. So that's why we go through our clients' accounts and we make sure that the right story is being told, that yes, they did buy the Bitcoin for $60,000. Then they sold it for $16,000. Yes, they do have a $44,000 loss, and that gets to count towards other things. Or if they're doing mining, or if they're doing other ways to earn crypto income, we make sure all of that is cleaned up and reconciled in a pretty little package that you take to your regular tax preparer, and they add it to your taxes. Everything is easy. It isn't too bad. The only thing that many people have to do is face that they had losses, especially if they had losses. But even the ones who had gains, I mean, sometimes we had a client last year had terrific losses, but the year before she'd had terrific gains. And unfortunately, you have to pay taxes on the gains and they're not offset by the losses that come the next year. So that was a very, very sad situation for us. And that was when we figured out that we wanted to help people figure this sort of thing out, that it's not just about like you buy something and you hold on and you just kind of like, do you hold on forever when it's selling at a loss, or do you take advantage that it's selling at a loss so you harvest some of that and say, you know what, that was a bad choice, we're going to start over with this portion. But you've got that loss to offset your income on your taxes, as opposed to the people who just kind of randomly sell. I mean, this person, she had the best timing in the market. She sold when Bitcoin was at the high for the year. She sold twice at the high. And so she had so many thousands of dollars of capital gains to realize. And then she had to pay taxes on that because she bought a losing coin with those gains. And it went down in value by the end of the year, but she didn't realize it. So she kept holding and it went even further down the next year. So by the time I met her, she had lost twice as much on the position she now had as she had gained the year before on Bitcoin. So it's just like, oh my gosh. So if you are a person who is interested in learning more about how to be proactive with your investments, how to invest, what kinds of crypto things you can investigate or participate in, if you're interested in knowing how your crypto investments work, how to plan for taxes, any of that sort of stuff, that is the stuff we love. If you have questions, we love answering questions, so feel free to message us or to show up live at one of these Facebook Lives and ask the questions. I don't see any questions today, but that's okay. And then, of course, we're around. You can always email us. You can come join our membership. We do have a course in the links. Brand new course, free if you use it within 3 days. You do have to actually participate and watch it. It's a very short course, so it's not hard to do. But if you want to figure out if you need help with your taxes or if you actually have got it under control and you're going to be fine doing it on your own, take our free course and figure it out for sure, because then you'll know. And that's like step one, is knowing where you're at and, you know, what to do next. So that's all I've got for you today. Let us know if you have questions. I think I said that already. And I'm going to sign off. All right. Bye.